Hello, welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to talk about class and object. In object-oriented programming, classes and objects are very core principles. So far, we have created many classes, but we never paid close attention to what's happening, and also we never converted a class to an object. In this lesson, we're going to see the definitions and also create objects out of classes. And towards the end of the lesson, we will see constructors. What are constructors? Why we need them? We're going to look into that with an example. A class in Java is a very basic building block, and for that matter, in any object-oriented language. It is like a template where you will define the data and also behavior. That means the actions you take on that data in a class. When it comes to an object, it's a combination of data and procedures working on that data. An object will have a state and a behavior. That is the main difference. Whereas class is a description how an object should behave, whereas an object is actual representation of the class which has a state and behavior. I will give you an example. For a house, you have a plan how to build a house and various dimensions, not just the length of the room, width of the room, but also other components of the house, kitchen and gas connections. Multiple things are there. So everything will be described in blueprint of the house, right? So everything is in detail in the blueprint of the house. Then once the contractor start building the house, they will go according to the blueprint and build actual house. So using that blueprint, you can build n number of houses, 10, 20, 30. Once you have that blueprint, you will be building n number of houses. So in this case, a class is a blueprint, okay, which describes how the actual house should look like, which is an object, right? So a class is a blueprint and house is an object. You get it? So that is the main principle behind classes and object. Now, when you look at this picture here on the left side, which is a blueprint of the house, which is like a floor plan of the house, and this is an actual house. So in our case, class is something that describes how the house should look from interior and also exterior. Here I'm representing only the floor plan, and there might be additional details for building this object at an high level. So it should have a front porch and master bedroom, great room, deck, dining, kitchen, and the bedroom, bath. All of the details are there here. This is considered as the blueprint for building the actual house. The actual house is the object. So the process of converting a class into an object in Java, it's called instantiation. Okay, this is the keyword we need to be aware of. So instantiation is a process of converting a class into an object. How we achieve that is, for example, we have a class by name simply as house, okay? And I want to use this class and create an object. This is achieved by using a syntax, which I'm going to show you right here. So I want an object house. I will name that as my house, and that can be instantiated by using a new operator and house. So I'm creating my house using the blueprint of which is this class right here. So I can create n number of my houses, my house 1, my house 2, my house 3, any number of house objects by simply using the blueprint of house. Okay, So the process of converting a class into an object is instantiation. And using the blueprint of a class, you can create a number of objects. So in Eclipse, we are going to see an example, and we will use employee as the blueprint, a class, and I will be creating a number of employees using that blueprint. Okay, let's move on. In Eclipse, I'm going to create a new class by name employee, so which should have certain properties. That properties can be employee's name, salary, and department. So I will declare those variables which represent name, salary, and department. Private string name, private int salary, private string department. With these variables, I want to do an operation, a behavior on these variables. With simply these variables, I'm not going to achieve anything. So I want to add a name, get the name, add salary, get salary, add department name, get the department name, right? So if John Doe is an employee, that I want that object to represent John Doe, his name, his salary, and his department. Let us do that. I will start with the name, setting the name. So public void set name. If you are setting the name, you need a name. So the parameter for this method is receiving the name. To reduce the ambiguity, I will modify employee name, the variable name as employee name here. Or we can use this operator, which I don't want to introduce at this point. Let us focus on simply variables and methods. Okay, employee name equal to name, and then similarly I want to get the name of this employee. Eventually, if I want to find out the details of the employee, I need to get the name. So this time I'm getting the name. So name is of what data type? String, right? So the return type should be string. Since it's getting the name, this method is going to return the name, and it is getting, so it doesn't have a necessity to send a name. So here getting a name, and here we need to return the name, which would be employee name. Okay, so far I created two methods. One is set name, another one is get name, okay, for an employee. And similarly we have two more members, salary and department. So Eclipse provides a very efficient way of creating these getters and setters. In this step I will use that. It is pretty much similar to how we wrote these two methods. Right click on salary and go to source and click on generate getters and setters. Okay, and this window pops up. Here you can select for which member variables you want to create getters and setters. Since we already did for employee name, you don't want to select that, but you can select salary and department. I selected both of those, and here access modifier, I'm leaving it as public and clicking on generate. If If you notice, there are a bunch of methods created for us. Let us sort it out. First of all, you want to keep all of your variables at the top. It kind of created in the middle of those variables, so we can move around. The first and foremost thing we did was methods we have created is set and get name. So I will take them, Control X and Control V at the top. And now let's take a look at the methods that Eclipse created for us. Here is get salary, set salary, and here is get department and set department. At a micro level, all we are doing is we're establishing this employee profile, right? It's the blueprint. It is basically what does an employee object should have. We are defining that in this class. Okay, so we went so simple. We are only using employee name, salary, and department, and we set and get those values from this object. Now let us create an object of employee. Right now I cannot set and get unless I have an object of employee. So what we can do here is to create an object, create a main method. This is the interesting part. So I want to create employee object, right? The syntax will be like this. So here we created an employee object, which is EMP, which is of data type employee. And new is the operator that creates an object out of a class. Okay, let us take a look at the steps involved in creating an object. So there are 3 steps involved in creating an object. One is declaring an object, then instantiation of an object, and initialization of an object. In our code in Eclipse, we have combined declaration and instantiation into one statement. You can separate them, but what we did was we simply did these 2 steps together in one statement: declaration and instantiation. Now let us take care of the 3rd step, which is initialization of the object. Since our object EMP is declared and instantiated, now let us initialize with values. EMP is the object dot set. Once I type in set, you can notice 3 of the set methods appeared here. They are filtered and it gave us available methods starting with set. So I want to set the name, and also I want to set department and salary. I'll set the name to John Doe. Department as IT, and salary as 4,000. Okay, I'm trying to match the data types. So name is of data type string, and department is again string, and salary we declared it as integer at the top. So this object employee is created now. Let us test this object and get some values out of it. So employee dot, now I am using get name, which does not require a parameter, right? It just returns the name of the employee. Similarly, I will do for salary and department. Simply getting it, we will not be able to see on the console. So let us do a system.out. I will run this Java class, run as Java application, and we can see all of the three values are printed out into our console. John Doe IT 4000. So in this example, what we did is we created a blueprint of class employee, and we have set the methods for name, department, and salary. And then we created an object of that class using the new operator, set the values, and got the values back. So the biggest advantage of using objects is you can consolidate the information and also behavior into a single object. Employee can have multiple properties and behaviors, but you can simply store everything into a single object. For example, this EMP has endless possibilities. It can store name, department, salary, social security number, hire date, type of contract, whether he is a full-time or a contractor, geographic location, reporting manager. You can see the possibilities are unlimited. And everything can be carried out in a single variable. If I can pass this to anywhere, it will have all of the information that is related to that employee. And you can also create n number of employees by using this blueprint employee class. I can go down here and create one more employee with a different name, obviously employee 1, and set the name to Jane Doe IT and the salary. So you can create any number of employees and you can expand the properties of the employee also. When we look into object-oriented concepts in the next coming lesson, we will apply a lot of those concepts using objects. With this, I will end this lesson. You may now move on to the next one. Thank you.